Today, I'll show you how to document patient mobility in Flowsheet doc using the following case scenario. In the morning at 9 a.m., your patient sits at the edge of her bed for 20 minutes while eating her breakfast. She then returns back to bed. You only need to give her a little help to get up and she's able to sit independently while eating. In the afternoon, she gets out of bed for lunch and sits on the bedside chair from 12 to 12:30. At 12:30, you help her take a walk for 200 feet using a walker and a gait belt for safety. She sits up in the chair for a little more time before you help her back to bed at 2:30 p.m. Now, let's see how to properly document your patient's mobility for the day in the Flowsheet doc. First, select Flowsheet and I&O banned from the table of contents, followed by Adult Quick View, and then click on Activities of Daily Living. I'll show you how to document the morning mobility activity first. Right-click over the time cell at the top of the column and select Insert Date Time. Type in the correct time. For this entry, you will enter 0920 to document the morning mobility occurrence and press Enter. Scroll down the column to the Bed Mobility Assistance row and double-click the cell. Select one-person assistance since you only needed to give the patient a small amount of help to get up to the edge of the bed for her breakfast. Continue to scroll down the column until you reach Time Dangled at Bedside. Double-click the cell and enter 20 for the number of minutes the patient sat at the edge of the bed to eat her breakfast, and press Enter. Now, if you'd like to add a little more information to this entry, you could right-click over the cell and select Flag with Comment. You may write something like, Patient sat at the edge of the bed and ate her breakfast. Hit OK. Now the documentation for the AM mobility is completed. To sign your entry, press the green check mark. Once the note is signed, take notice of the small yellow flag that appeared in the cell you flagged with a comment. If you want to see the text you've entered, simply hover the arrow over the flag and it will appear. Anyone else viewing the chart will also be able to do the same thing. Now you will repeat the procedure to document the afternoon mobility occurrence. Right-click over the time cell at the top of the column and select Insert Date Time. Type in the correct time. For this entry, you will enter 14:30 to document the afternoon mobility occurrence and then press Enter. During the time your patient sat in her chair during the afternoon from 12 to 2:30 p.m., she ambulated 200 feet using a walker and a gait belt for safety. You could include the entire 2.5-hour period's activity in one column. First, scroll up to the Ambulation Assistance, double-click the cell, and select One Person Assistance and press Enter. Second, double-click the cell under Ambulation Distance, type 200 feet and press Enter. Third, double-click the Ambulation Patient Effort cell and select Good for patient's level of effort during ambulation. Press Enter. Fourth, scroll to Assistive Device, double-click the cell and check off the boxes for walker and gait belt and press Enter. And finally, scroll down the column to Time Up in Chair and double-click the cell. Enter 150 for number of minutes the patient remained out of bed in the chair, which equals 2.5 hours. Press Enter. If you'd like to add any additional information, remember you can right-click over any cell and flag it with a comment. Now the documentation for the PM mobility is completed. To sign your entry, press the green check mark. This tutorial has covered the basics of documentation in the Flowsheet for mobility. It is important to capture this information as it serves as a way to see a patient's progress with mobility and functional ADL during his or her hospital stay. We hope that by providing intentional mobility interventions, we can improve the health of our patients and the quality of the care we provide. If you have any questions about this information, please speak with your clinical nurse leader or manager.